Captain of Industry. This amazing city builder, factory builder, terraforming game, you can do it all. If you don't know the game, don't hesitate to check in the video description below to see my full current let's play where we're playing version 1, the new version of the game, on a crazy map, Insula Mortis. But today it's gonna be a completely different episode because we're gonna talk about blueprints. If you're a fan of my channel, you may know my stamp series in Anno 1800 where I showed you from basic to super advanced perfect stamp for each resource. This is now the same for Captain of Industry. Today we're gonna talk about diesel. How to make diesel from super basic to super advanced. Let's dive right in. So we're talking about diesel because this is a super important resource. All of your trucks that are moving resource across the map need diesel. Your ships that are also on the world map will need diesel. And on top of this, in the recipes over here, you can see that there's many ways to make diesel, and there's also many usage for diesel. Diesel can also be used to make rubber, for example, also for electricity and a few other things. So it is a critical resource, and that's why I'm starting over here. To access your blueprints, you can press F4 or click at the bottom over here. And what's really cool is you can easily add to your game blueprints created by others like myself. To do that is very easy. You click over here and you're just going to import a string. Where do you find the strings? Just go to my Discord community and for free you can find them there. The link to join my Discord community is also in the video description below. So as you can see over here, today I'm going to show you 5 big layouts from very basic to the ultimate diesel production. A key reason why we have different blueprints is also because the ultimate one, which is perfect, you cannot do it at the beginning because it requires research that will be unlocked later. Versus the first blueprint, the basic diesel, you can do it as soon as you've unlocked basic diesel over here, which is pretty much on day one. Now, by the way, the map that I'm using over here is not actually one of my maps. It was a map that was shared by my prof on the Discord community of the game Captain of Industry, and I'm using it because he had a lot of space, he has unlocked pretty much everything, and also quite a bit of resources. There's a lot of resources for me to build those things quickly. So big thanks to MadProp for sharing this one. Okay, so let's review the first one, which, as I said, you can build as soon as you have basic diesel. You don't even need conveyor belts. I will show you how you can improve it when you have conveyor belts, but you can even do it without conveyor belts. Right from the start, you can build this one. This is a blueprint that will enable you at the maximum to produce around 100 of diesel per minute. This is a huge number of diesel, so especially at this point of the game, this will be great. This is based on 4 distillers, you can see them over here. And using this recipe of crude oil plus coal, we'll make diesel plus wastewater plus exhaust. So let's look at this a bit in detail. So we have indeed the coal first and foremost. As I said, you can do this even if you don't have blueprints. Obviously, in this case, you will have trucks delivering, the coal. But what you can also do is as soon as you have the blueprint, you see my coal storage over here, right? So we can easily start to deliver. This is only 6 per basic distiller. So basically, you can have just one line, run like this all the way. And now with this line, the coal will be also delivered automatically. Then we need the crude oil, and this one we need 54 per distillery. So it's actually quite a bit more. At this point in the game, you will probably only have the pipe level 1, which can transport 60 per minute, which basically means that you need 1 pipe per distillery. And that's why you'll see there is one at level 0 over here that goes to the first one. Then one at level 1 to go to the second, then one at level 2 for the third, and one at level 3 for the final and fourth one. And so 4 of these, that means 2 of those fluid storage. Now you don't really need fluid storage, but I like to put them also so that you can put alerts if you want. For example, you can put an alert if this is empty or below 25%. I think this is really useful. On top of this, it does also create a buffer, so you have time to react if something happens. And over here, you can see 4 pipes. This is for your oil pumps. At this point in the game, you will probably be playing with oil pumps. You have the space over here to put 3 oil pumps. 1, 2, and 3. Of course, for them to work, you will need to put it on a crude oil deposit. This also works if you have a cargo depot, of course, but at this point in the game, you probably don't have it yet. And each of those oil pumps is 18 per minute, which is why, again, this is the perfect ratio. If you have 3 of these, this is exactly 54. So we have 54 on each, and this is exactly what you need over there. So we have talked about the input. Then we're going to output a few things. So let's go on the other side of the layout over here. We're going to output diesel. This is easy. This is what I'm putting over here. This is actually at level 1, right? You can see at level 1, this is what's coming over there. Then we're going to output exhaust 36 per minute, which is why we have one smokestack per distillery, because this is limited to 60. And then last but not least, we have the wastewater. This is what's at level 0. It starts over here and continues this way. We are talking about 12 per minute. 12 times 4, 48. This fits into one pipe, no problem. I have once again a fluid storage here that you may want to delete, but you can keep it if you want. This helps, for example, again, putting an alert, notify when it's above 75%, for example. And then you will need to dump this into the sea thanks to a liquid dump. So it is, ladies and gentlemen, a very basic, but once again, with this, you can already produce 100 of diesel per minute, as long as you have enough crude oil coming in and coal coming in. So it's basic, but very powerful. So it's producing a lot. So why am I saying it's basic? Well, it has two reasons. The first one is you create a lot of pollution. You have pollution in the air and you have pollution in the sea. The second reason why it's basic is because of the loss. We're using 54 crude oil, but we're only getting 24 diesel. You will see now that we're going to move into more advanced one. The more advanced we'll go into, the better the efficiency is gonna be in terms of transforming crude oil into a lot more diesel. Now let's move into the second one. This is the first step of what I call advanced diesel. It's not perfect at all, but it's definitely better. Now when can you start doing this one? Well, if you look at the research, we had basic diesel over here. We need to advance a bit forward. We need, for example, to start doing construction part level 2. We also need to unlock the research lab level 2. But then just after that, we will unlock the advanced diesel. There is also just above it, you can see the pipe level 2. So with those pipes, you'll be able to transport a lot more. This is not strictly necessary for this layout. You could also do a similar layout without it. But with it, it will definitely be a bit better. But we're not going to unlock anything else. This is sort of just what's needed. So with this, we have two new buildings, the distillation stage 1 and distillation stage 2. And they're really going to work together. As you can see, the stage 1 is going to create medium oil, and this medium oil is flowing directly as an input into the distillation stage 2. But it is more efficient because if you look over here, we're taking the same amount, 54 crude oil, but with this 54 crude oil, we're going to create something, in particular 48 medium oil, as I said, and then this 48 medium oil is going to be transformed into 36 diesel. So instead of 24, we're moving to 36. That's definitely a lot better. Now, I told you before there was two problems with this. The second problem being that we are creating a lot of pollution. To be honest, it's actually getting worse with this one. We're creating even more pollution because we're creating a lot of things like heavy oil, sour water, and also the light oil that will basically create pollution. That's why this is not the ultimate one. I will show you an ultimate one later. But now let's have a quick look. How is this actually working? So similarly, we're taking crude oil, but then the second element is we're going to take steam. With that, we're going to make the medium oil 48. This is going directly into this one over there, right? Then we're going to create 6 heavy oil and 18 sour water. So we're going to need to do something with that. And then over here, transforming the heavy oil with a bit more steam, we're making our diesel plus light oil. So we're going to need to also do something with the light oil. So here we have our inputs. We have actually 3 inputs. The first one is the crude oil, right? This is only one. You could have multiple if you wanted. And in particular, if you haven't unlocked yet the pipe level 2, you will need several. But if you have pipe level 2, you can actually do almost with just one, because one is 200 per minute. We're talking about 54 each. So if you have all 4 working, this is 216. This is just a bit more than this, which you could have a pipe level 3, or you could have 2 pipes. This would be easy to have a second pipe running at this level, for example, over here or on the other side. And by the way, this is not because I'm making 4 that you have to have 4. When you first use this blueprint, maybe you only have 1 running or maybe 2 like I did over here. But then slowly but surely, you can also unpause these ones, unpause this one, and then have bigger and bigger production. But yeah, the first input is the crude oil. Then we have 2 more. The first one is coal and the second is water. We need those 2 for the boiler over here. If you put water and coal, you're going to create the steam high that we need, plus some exhaust. So again, this is not really so great for pollution, but yeah, we have the exhaust coming here, and then we have, the steam coming in the front. So this is why you will see the steam is at level 0. This is my steam over here. And at level 2, we have the crude oil. All of this is going, as input. So for example, the crude oil coming here, the steam is going there. Same over here, the steam is coming. So then we are going to make the medium oil, which goes directly to it. There's not even a pipe, the two buildings are connected. Then we're also going to make heavy oil. This is what you can see in the middle over here. So this will go in the front, we'll talk about it after. And we're also going to make sour water. This is the one that you can see over here at the top. It is actually going to level 1, and this is our level 1 pipe. Our level 1 pipe is the sour water. It goes all the way over here, and here you need actually a level 2, because we're talking about 18 times 4, this will be more than 60. If you only have 2 on, you can leave this as a pipe level 1, but if you have all 4, you'll need a pipe level 2 at the end. And in the case of this early layout, the sour water, is stocked over here, so you can put an alert. And then similarly to the wastewater in the previous one, this will just be dumped, creating more pollution again. Then we have more steam. This is what you can see over here and over there at level 0. And this steam is going to create the diesel and the light oil. So let's turn around to the other side. We have the diesel at level 1. Again, it is a pipe 2 in particular if you want all 4 on, because we're going to create 36, right? So this is way more than 60 if you have all 4. And we're also going to create some more light oil, which is actually this one right at the bottom at level 0. So the key output of the diesel is over here, but then we also have two sort of byproducts that we need to do something with, the light oil and the heavy oil. Light oil at level 0, heavy oil at level 2. This one in this layout will just go over here into the storage and be flared. You could also make it a bit simple and have only one flare, but to make it a bit clean, I have used 2. So we have this one for the heavy oil, this one for the light oil, and as you can see, it is being flared, meaning even more pollution. So with this one, you are wasting less crude oil, you're making a better production of diesel for the same amount of crude oil, but you're getting a lot more pollution. So we're gonna want to improve that pollution very soon. But before I show you how to really improve, because at the same time, where we unlock the advanced diesel and the pipe level 2, we're also unlocking power generation level 2, which is where you can send this steam to make also electricity. So at this point, you can also start doing something a bit like this. It can be bigger, for now I put only 2, for example. You could put more if you wanted, but I wanted to show you the concept. And the concept being, very similar to what we just saw, meaning we're gonna have the same input to make some steam and to have some crude oil over here. This will go into the distillation to make, some medium oil, heavy oil, sour water. Then over here, transforming the medium oil into diesel and light oil. We're actually still going to burn the heavy oil and the light oil over here. But the one thing I've added is that the steam pipe that goes all the way over here actually continues there. And then it goes into those 2 high pressure turbines. You could also have only 1. I chose to make 2 to show you can go big, but you could make 1 if you want. That is again using the steam high. Because the point is that this boiler that is over here, if you only use it for 1 or 2 of these, this is not a lot of steam. Also, maybe your diesel is full, you don't need more diesel. And all of this, instead of pausing, what will happen is that you're going to continue creating steam, and this steam will be used to make electricity. Because you're going to send all of this surplus, let's call it steam, over here to make mechanical power, and then the mechanical power is going to be transformed into electricity and stored into this flywheel. Because usually at this point in the game, you will have a lot of players that are going to have one boiler that is linked to their diesel production and another boiler that is linked to their electricity production. Well, instead you can do it together. You could even, if you wanted, have 2 boilers over here. But the key thing I wanted to highlight is that basically also for your truck, they're only delivering into one place the water and into one place the coal. They don't have to deliver it twice to 2 different boilers. So we haven't really improved, the diesel transformation with this layout, or we haven't improved at all the pollution. But basically, this is a better use of your resources, in my opinion. I mean, even if you think about the cost of a boiler, at this point in the game, a boiler is expensive. Instead of building 2, you're only building 1. But without further ado, let's move into the next layout, which is the final stage of this advanced diesel based on stage 1 and stage 2. But it's not the final layout, because then we'll go into the ultimate diesel production, which also has the stage 3. So for this one, we'll need 2 more research. We'll need over here the gas combustion. It's not so far from what you've already unlocked, so you can probably do it quickly. The other one is a bit further. It is the sulfur processing over here. And in particular, it's a bit further because you do need the construction level 3. It actually costs, 40 level 3 to build this building. And that is also why it's a separate layout, because you may need to wait a few years before you get there. And here it is. This is the next one where we're going to significantly improve the pollution that we're creating, but on top of this, also sort of the efficiency. It's not really the efficiency in terms of diesel. We're still gonna get the same amount of diesel, but we're gonna get many other things that are also useful. So let's dive right in, because it's definitely a bit more complex one. We have, as always, over here our fluid storage for the crude oil. It is still a pipe level 2. We can move it to level 3 if we want, especially if you have all 4. Remember, you need 216, so the level 2 won't be enough. But if you only have 2 couples or even 3 couples, you don't even need a level 3. Then all of this will be similar in the sense that, we need the steam. We're going to create some medium oil, some heavy oil, and some sour water, and over here some diesel and light oil. But what's very different is how are we going to create this steam, and also what are we going to do with all of those byproducts. We still have over here a boiler. But this boiler is actually only here to really kickstart the production. After the production is really launched, we shouldn't really need it anymore. Unless you add again an electric production to it, then you'll definitely need it. But yeah, you have water and coal. The coal comes from over here and the water is actually over there. And this will create some steam. The steam actually goes, as you can see over here, into this pipe balancer. And the steam from the boiler is actually not the priority, which is why I'm saying, this is really to kickstart it, but after you may not need it at all, because the priority is on those two over here, which we'll see in a moment. Then the priority out is this belt over here, which I've made a bit for fun. You don't really need it. I just wanted to show you what you can do, because with this you can store quite a bit of steam, and therefore you have a bit of a buffer for everything else. But as I said, you don't have to put this. This was just for fun. Then the steam, as always, goes to level 0 over here, but also on that side, right? You can see it over here and over there. Then we have the medium oil that goes directly over here. The heavy oil goes in the front, the sour water in the back, like before. And similarly, the light oil goes in the front. So let's follow, first of all, the sour water. Sour water goes all the way over here, right? Then you can see some in the pipe over there. Instead of being dumped into the ocean, it will go into a new building, the sour water stripper. So we're going to have the sour water at level 1. We have the steam at level 0. It goes into this building and it's going to create 3 things. Starting at the end, there is some water, which then can be sent back into those boilers over here. Right? So we're making water for free. This way we don't really need to send a lot of water. Then we have the ammonia and the sulfur. And as I said, those two are really great because you can use them for many things. For example, for the sulfur at this point in the game, you can join it with some diesel to make rubber. This is a great way to make rubber. It's efficient. It's also not polluting. Very soon after, you may also use the sulfur to make some acid, which is a great one. And there's many other use of sulfur, as you can see. So it's great to get some for free. Similarly, the ammonia, at this point in the game, you probably haven't unlocked many of these. And if you really haven't unlocked anything, you will have to flare it to create a bit of pollution, but it is way less pollution than before. And soon after, you will also get the chemical plant, where you can add some oxygen to it to make some fertilizer, which is really great, of course, for your farms. Or you can also make some nitrogen and hydrogen from the ammonia, which is also another really cool resource. So we're taking the sour water that we were dumping and now we're making a ton of great resource. We have the sulfur at level 0, right now it goes into this, but then you can make many things with it. Then at level 1 over here, you can see this is the ammonia that goes into this one over there. And again, you can do many things with it. And then this is the water, it goes at level 2 and then goes back to level 0, goes into this pipe balancer before it goes into the storage, because remember, I want this to be the priority in this case, right? We want to make sure that we use this water always before we use any water that we may be bringing from, rainwater harvesters or things like this. And then it goes back into the system, as we said. If we follow it, this is what's at level 3, goes all the way over here, and then it goes into my 3 boilers. So let's talk indeed about those 2 boilers, because this is one of the big change now. We have 2 boiler gas. It's not the same, it's not the normal boiler that's using coal. These ones are going to use liquids like the heavy oil for this one and the light oil for that one. With this, we're going to create a lot of steam. And again, this is why you shouldn't need this boiler anymore, because we're going to use those 2 to create the steam. This is why this is the priority. So instead of flaring, instead of burning all of my heavy oil and light oil that you see over here, we're going to actually use it into the boiler gas. So this is a lot better. Now I did add a couple of fail-safes. So we have over here, a fluid storage for the light oil and the heavy oil. With this, we can put some alerts to tell us when there is a problem. But on top of this, I'll also put a balancer where the priority is, to get all of this light oil and to send it into the boiler. But just in case this is all full, then we have a flare, just in case. So it should not happen. So you may want to just delete it or not build it, but I like to have this in place just in case. So yes, this is my advanced diesel layout based on stage 1 and stage 2 to produce quite a bit of diesel, a lot of cool resources like the sulfur and the ammonia, and use very little inputs because after you've kickstart everything, you shouldn't need any more coal. You can even pause it if you want. But as I said, this is not the last. We need to move into the ultimate diesel production. For this ultimate diesel production, we need to continue moving further. In particular, we need to unlock the lab level 3. This will give us access to a couple of new buildings. For example, we'll have the naphtha processing, which is distillation stage 3. Just after, we'll also get the reforming and cracking with the cracking unit, and then the hydrogen production with the hydrogen reformer. These are quite important. Then these are not strictly necessary for the layout, but in the one that I'm going to show you, you will also use them. You can see the electrolysis and the plastic production. For fun, we're also going to use the thermal storage, but not strictly necessary. And similarly, you have just after the pipe level 3. Okay, this is the ultimate one, and it's way bigger as you can see. We now have, instead of 2 stages, 3 stages. Also, instead of having only 4 lines, now we have 8. You don't have to go so big, you can make it smaller. But yeah, I went all in. So let's look a bit at what's happening. So the stage 1 and stage 2 is still the same. But now we have a stage 3 that is going to take this light oil and a bit more steam to make naphtha and fuel gas. So 2 new resources and quite high level. I mean, only 12 of light oil to make 12 naphtha and 18 fuel gas. So, the start is basically the same, right? We have our crude oil. It is now a huge storage, doesn't have to be a huge one. We have also level 3 because we have so many of them. We're going to get a lot of steam, I'll show you where. But we're making the same basic thing, right? We're making sour water and heavy oil in this case. And with this one, we're starting to make also some diesel and now 2 new ones. But the key thing is, what are we going to do with all of this? I mean, of course, we still have our sour water strippers to take care of the sour water. Instead of having 2, we have 4 because we've doubled the number of lines. This is the right ratio. So we're gonna get some sulfur, we're gonna get some ammonia. I've also put a backup, if there's too much sulfur, we're going to burn it. But for the ammonia, we're gonna start doing something with it. So this is what's going over here. I've put a balancer with 2 exits. The first one is going into this, we're gonna talk about it. The second one is actually this pipe over there. This is basically, if you want to use some ammonia for something else, then you can use this pipe. But the priority right now in my setup is over here. We have 2 electrolyzers that are going to take this ammonia, make some nitrogen. Nitrogen, to be honest, actually just sent into the atmosphere. It doesn't create pollution, it's not a problem. But the key thing is we're creating also some hydrogen. So the hydrogen going into this storage over here. There is actually another way we're making hydrogen, which is over here. And that's a new building. This is 2 hydrogen reformer. So we're taking the fuel gas and some steam and we're making hydrogen and carbon dioxide. So all of this hydrogen is going to come from there and we're using the fuel. This is this pipe that's coming over there. We'll look at it just after. And then we're gonna send this hydrogen into a couple of places. First of all, we're gonna send over here into 4 cracking units. They're going to take heavy oil, because remember we're making heavy oil, and this hydrogen to make even more naphtha and even more fuel gas. So the output here of naphtha and fuel gas, we're gonna make even more now. We have the hydrogen at level 0 and we have the heavy oil at level 1. It's actually coming from this fluid storage so we can have an alert. There's also a flame just in case, it's not the priority, but just in case there's a flame, it's coming from there. This pipe over here, this is the pipe at level 3 if I'm not mistaken, which is where we're taking all of our heavy oil. But then the hydrogen also continues over here, this pipe, into 2 more cracking units, which will take care of a surplus of naphtha. And with this, we're going to make even more fuel gas, but also more diesel. So our ratio of how much diesel we're getting for the 54 of crude oil has gone up once more. Now I said this is for the surplus of naphtha, because before getting there, the naphtha will do also something else. Because yeah, we're getting a lot of naphtha, right? We're getting naphtha from this pipe over here from the stage 3, and we're getting naphtha also from this pipe at the bottom. I know it's a bit hard to see, but this pipe at the bottom, level 0, you know, from all of those cracking units. So all of this naphtha goes into this storage, and then we have this pipe balancer, so taking in, you know, this naphtha and sending it into a couple of places. There is 2 out that are prioritized. We're gonna look at it just now, and one that is not. The one that is not is those 2 over there. So that's why I said this is the surplus. So those 2 are actually going into another pipe balancer. This way I can really have a pyramid of priorities, right? Because it is not possible for me to say this is priority 1, priority 2, priority 3. I can only say this is prioritized over this one. But then I can say in the second one that this is prioritized over this one. So basically this one is priority 1, and this one is priority 2, and that one over here is priority 3. So what is priority number 1? Well, priority number 1 goes all the way over here into those boilers. This is boiler gas that are going to make a lot of steam. Basically, all of the steam that I will need to run this thing will be made through naphtha. Then priority 2 is going to be over here, which is to send some of this naphtha and a bit of chlorine to make some plastic. This is what's happening over here, right? The chlorine is actually coming from there, where we're taking some brine. This is the only thing actually not connected into this whole layout. Everything else is connected. You need to bring some brine, which probably you'll make from your salt. But yeah, this is just the only thing you need to bring. It's a pipe, so it's easy to go around those things. And with this, you'll make some chlorine. Then the chlorine will go into those 2. Then there's an exhaust in the middle over there, and you make the plastic that goes into this huge storage. On the other side, we have also the same for the naphtha plus sulfur. Remember, we are making the sulfur over here. This is this nice spaghetti over here that will go there and add to the naphtha, make some rubber, the rubber goes there. We're gonna make some plastic, some rubber, a lot of diesel, but we're still also making a lot of fuel, right? We're making, remember, a lot of fuel coming from this one, coming from this, and also coming from this. So there's a lot of fuel going. Then this fuel will go over here into those cracking units. There is once again 4. And with this, we're going to add a bit of oxygen. This is coming from those 2 air separators. And this is going to create even more diesel plus a bit more water. So we're making water in the sour water stripper plus water over here. So we have, you know, some water. All of this water will be sent into this fluid storage over here. We have a balancer to take all of this in, and then one input that is not prioritized, which is, you know, this. Like if I need to send more water or if I need to kickstart, this is what's coming over here. Then all of this water, by the way, will go over here to go into my boilers. You can see my boilers are full of water over here, and will also go into this thermal storage. Now this thermal storage, as I said, is not necessary, but basically this thermal storage is a storage of steam. And right now I've actually put it at the beginning of the whole thing, which is why this whole thing hasn't actually started, because it's getting to 100%. It needs to get full before the whole thing starts. So right now, you know, we're just getting this boiler of coal to kickstart the process. But as I said, you don't really have to do that. I could also do something like this. I'm just going to bypass it. And now the steam is moving into the actual pipes, and we start getting into the distillation stage. Maybe what I'll actually do, let me change it live before I send this layout to all of you, is we're gonna put another balancer. So this first balancer over here was to make sure that we use first those boilers of naphtha, and that, you know, the whole boiler is just a backup or is just to kickstart. Now this one over here with the priority at the bottom could be to prioritize that the steam goes first into the system before we fill this thermal storage as a reserve if things go wrong. So yes, here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the ultimate diesel production. We went from basic to advanced to ultimate. I've done my best to really always calculate the numbers to optimize. This is of course dynamic, it's not perfect all the time, but this should really work well. I'd love to hear any feedbacks, comments that you may have in the comments below, or also on my Discord community. And remember, in the Discord community, you can find all of those blueprints so that you can download them yourself and play with them. This took quite a while for me to prepare, so I'd love for you to smash like button, to leave a comment below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, we're definitely going to do more videos on blueprints, but also we're continuing the let's play from start to finish of this game. And I'm covering also many other games. So don't hesitate to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I hope to see you next time.